Here with us is NewsNation contributor and Democratic strategist Kurt Bardella. Kurt, good morning. You might be muted.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you go. I hear you now. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what's at stake for Biden with this state visit to France?
Not a whole lot, in all honesty. This is just going to be another round of, we're going to talk about, the Middle East. We're going to talk about Ukraine. We're going to reaffirm our steadfast support to our European NATO allies. And we'll go forward. I mean, the reality is, with the election on the horizon, Congress already passed the Ukraine funding bill. There's nothing new that's going to happen between now and November on this front, barring some major world-changing events going on. And so this is really status quo, and this is really about laying the groundwork today for what Biden hopes will be a second term that he can go into next year.
And during this trip, the president has taken a few opportunities to enforce the idea of, quote, he said this a few times, being on the right side of history, warning against isolationist history. Not so veiled digs at former President Trump, Kurt, as you well know. Do you think that message, however, is going to resonate with voters?
Well, I think that with the backdrop of the 80th anniversary of D-Day, where we were recalling a lot of FDR and America's position in World War II, our isolationism following World War I helped paving the way a little bit for World War II. It was an appropriate time to draw that historical comparison for context. It was the right setting and stage, being there on Normandy, on the beach of Normandy, giving those remarks, standing at times where very famous addresses have happened. He echoed a lot of the sentiments and symbolism from former President Reagan, speaking yesterday in the very spot that President Reagan spoke at 40 years ago. And so I think that it's a good thing to at times hit that refresh button on history. We live in this world where we're bombarded every day with all kinds of distractions and nonsense. It's very easy to lose historical context in that day-to-day skirmish. This was the right time, the right setting to reset the stage and remind people there are bigger things at play. And as he said in his speech on Thursday, democracy is something we have to fight for. We have to continually try to keep moving that experiment forward. If we become complacent, we could lose it.
And really good point there, by the way, Kurt, before I move on. Let's talk about what's happening here in the States. Vice President Kamala Harris is in Michigan today for a pair of campaign events. We know how important Michigan is for the November election. New polling in Michigan shows a dead heat between President Biden and former President Trump, 48% apiece, tied. Democrats facing new challenges in that state. Of course, you and I have talked about this a lot on this show. The large Muslim population that is wary of Biden's policy in the Middle East. Now reports that the black vote could be up for grabs in November as well. Will this visit help from our vice president?
I'm one of those people who thinks that whatever happens in the month of June is not going to have any bearing on what happens all these months later in November. I think it's something that you have to do. You have to continually check those boxes. We're going to see, frankly, both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, as well as Donald Trump and his mentioned vice president nominee, spend a lot of time in Michigan, in Arizona, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in Nevada, et cetera. That's just how the game is really played. I think ultimately, whatever people say to a pollster right now, there's some people love to complain. They'll love to say they don't like how things are going. It's always easy to find people willing to say they don't like how things are going. But at the end of the day, the only poll that matters is the one on election day. And what we have seen consistently for the last couple election cycles is Joe Biden and the Democratic Party far outpacing and outperforming the public polling leading into those elections.
So on that point, what does the Biden administration have to do to lock down those 15 electoral votes?
I think that they need to follow the playbook that their governor, Gretchen Whitmer, has set. Governor Whitmer is exactly why Michigan has in many ways gone blue in recent elections, and she has won comfortably in election after election. Michigan Democratic Party has far outpaced the Michigan Republican Party. There's been a lot of turmoil actually internally in that state. And so I think that following the guidance and leadership of Whitmer is the way to go for the Democratic Party and for Biden nationally.
Let's move on to former President Trump. He's in Las Vegas campaigning this weekend. He clearly sees an opportunity in Nevada. Could Nevada turn red this election, Kurt? What do you think?
Could it? Sure. Especially when you look at the way that the Nevada economy is set up, where you have a lot of people from a lot of different places who live there. There aren't always as many native Nevadans. I think 1 in 5 Nevadans are former Californians, actually. There's a lot of working class, a lot of middle class workers, especially with the tourism industry. There are so many Nevadans work in those hotels and casinos. That blue collar demographic is exactly the demographic Donald Trump is trying to fight for, and that he really needs to win if he's going to flip a state like Nevada. On the flip side of it, again, it's so early right now. There's so much going to happen between now and November. I don't think that anyone could read too much into where people are spending time in June, really where things stand after the convention, after the summer. Once we get into Labor Day, that's going to tell a lot of the story.